Starting today, Perek Beis, Psukim Tes, Yud, Yud Aleph, Yud Beis. Vatoimer Ela Anoshim. Yodati ki nosan Hashem lochem es haaretz, v'chinoflo eimaschem oleinu, v'chinomoigu kol yoishvei haaretz mipneichem. Just for recollection, gathering the first time after Pesach again, the two meraglim, Pinchas and Kolev, are coming to be meragel Yerichoi, b'shlichus from Yehoshua. And the matorah from the shlichus is to find out the mood of the people who are going to be conquered. Vos tutzach in Anshi Yerichoi. So she tells them, "V'atem al anoshim yedati ki nosan Hashem lochem es haaretz, v'chinoflo eimaschem aleinu." We know that your pachad is nofal, v'chinomoigu kol yoishvei haaretz mipneichem, and everybody's petrified. Vosi, what happened that they're so petrified? Steht in Posuk ki shomanu es asher hoivish Hashem es mei yamsuf mipneichem betzeichem mimitzrayim, v'asher asisem lishnei malchei moira shebe'ever hayarden l'sichoin uleoig asher cheramtem oiso. We heard two nisim. Here, on the west bank of the Jordan River, we are in Yericho. Yericho is the west side of the Jordan River. They're coming from Ma'abore Sayarden, from the other side, from Arvas Moyav. That's what they're coming for. We heard two Gewaldige Nisim. What's the Nisim? Number one, Hoivish Hashem Mei Yamsuf, the Nisim Kriyas Yamsuf. Und zweitens, Asher Asisem Lishnei Malcha Moira Shebe'ever Hayarden L'sichem V'loiga Shechiramtem Oisom. You have to understand that Sichain and Oig, their Malchus, was really diversified over the east bank and the west bank of the Jordan River. They had their Malchus across the Jordan on both sides. So really, the people who sat in Yericho had, it's nicht am gehört, some Eise that happened in Chutz La'aretz. The people who sat in Yericho are the people who are living under the jurisdiction of Sichon and Oig. And we heard that Sichon and Oig in Ever HaYarden, the other side of Ever HaYarden, you totally eradicated Asher Cheramtim Oisom. Vanishma, and we heard she put herself into the package of the people that are going to be conquered. Vayimas levavenu, our heart melted. V'leikomo oidruach beish mipneichem, ki Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim bashamayim mimoal ve'al ha'oretz mitochas. Hanishma vayosem elovein, Rashi says, v'leikomo oidruach beish afilu lishkav im isho, omru ein lecha kol sav v'noget sheloi boel rochav azayne, ubas eser shonim hoiso, kshiyotzu mimitzrayim, v'zinsa kol arboim shon. So she is telling him that he's a total yimas levavenu of all those people who are living on this side. And then she adds on a few words. Ki Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim, your God is the God of everyone. Bashamayim mimal ve'al ha'oretz mitochas. He's not only the Hashem Elokim bashamayim mimal, but also al ha'oretz mitochas. Many years ago, there was a Yid in Flatbush, a Rav, Rabbi Katzenstein, Zichrono Livrocha. Came one morning and he asked me a kash. He doesn't understand. This pasuk that we just read, that she says, "V'leikom ruach beish ki Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim bashamayim imal v'loretz mitochas." That's not her amtzah. If we look in Sefer Devarim, and we see v'yodato ayoyim, we say it every day in the Leinu l'Shabeach. V'hashevoyse levavecho ki Hashem Elokim bashamayim imal v'aloretz mitochas einoid. So she's basically repeating the very same words that Moshe Rabbeinu tells Bnei Yisrael ba'av Yismea before his ptir. And there's a pasuk we repeat every day in Tfilos Aleinu Shavech. But there's one distinction. If one may look and see, there's one nafkamina between the words of Rachav and between the words of Moshe Rabbeinu. When Moshe Rabbeinu adds on Hashem hu ha'elikim b'shamayim mimal v'al'oretz mitochas ein oid, no more. And Rachav, for some reason or another, she says it Hagen etayre, but she comes to the Zelbe Hakar of Moshe Rabbeinu, and she says Hashem Elokeichem hu ha'elikim b'shamayim mimal v'al'oretz mitochas, and doesn't say the word ein oid. That was his kasha. Obviously, didn't come to Kei the Kasha. I said, what do you say? So he tells me like this. Taisus in the beginning of Bechiris, Abavusta Taisus, Shaila, if you're allowed to make a joint venture with a goy, are you allowed to make a business deal with a goy? So the Gemara state, ganze Shailas, not allowed to mishtatev with a goy because you'll fight in business, and he'll be nishba to you. And since he's nishba in Avodah Zarah, you go, an akum is mitzuvah shaloi la'aved Avodah Zarah. So by you making a business deal with him, a joint venture, you're going to end up being mashbiaim, and now shveren in zayin getchke, he's going to swear in his God. And Ben Noach is also one of Shivas mitzvahs Bnei Noach shaloi la'aved Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah, one of the Avodah Zarah is nishba l'sheke b'shem Avodah Zarah. So you're not allowed to do such a thing. The question is, however, Taisus is debating Rabbeinu Tam in the beginning of Maseches Bechiris. What happens when they say Shvua be'elikus b'kedusha shelahem? And by the way, the censor on the side, whoever has the Gemaras, the fancy, sophisticated Gemara, says B'Shem Yeshu HaNoitzri. At least the Gemara. If you look at the Oiz V'Hodor Gemara on the side, they swear. He says B'Shem God and Jesus. He's making a shvur, so it's called Avodah Zorah B'Shituf. It's not Avodah Zorah Mamish, because he says Hashem, but on side of Hashem, he says God and his son Jesus. Zoktei says that an akum, even though Yisrael is not nitztav and Avodah Zorah, Avodah Zorah Alein, Avodah Zorah B'Shituf, cooperation Avodah Zorah is something B'Shem Hashem and Hashem Avodah Zorah. So it's Emes Avodah Zorah by Yisrael. By a goy, by Ben Noach, which is mitzuvah and Avodah Zorah, is not mitzuvah Avodah Zorah b'shituf. As I state in Teisus, as I state in Teisus in B'chais, I don't want to go involved. Veltz tumul ala achreinim. Teisus says a goy, Ben Noach is mitzuvah shaloi lavid Avodah Zorah v'loi lishova b'shem Avodah Zorah, or b'lishova b'shem Avodah Zorah b'shituf is muter. As I state, Shitas Rabbeinu Tam. So he said, very good. Rachav, he goes with the Hanocha. The Rachav at that time was before her gear. We saw that there's 3 Shitas and Rishonim when the Geiris took place. But at that time, she did not make Geiris. Some Rishonim said she was Megayer while they're there, right before the Geiris. So she is Benayach. So she is Mitzuvah not to be Oyev Avodah Zorah. But Avodah Zorah b'Shituf, she's allowed. So she doesn't say Ve'einoid. She says, Ki Hashem Elokim b'shamayim mimalu ha'la'oretz mitochas, or b'ken zayin. There's another Avodah Zorah who is controlling Jesus together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She's not mitzvah. But Yisrael is mitzvah Avodah Zorah b'shituv. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hashem Elokim b'shamayim mimalu ha'la'oretz mitochas, einoid. That was the fort he was walking around for HaKoifim. The problem is, if you look at the Rambam, you have it in your Ma'ameh Chemes. Look at the Rambam, and the Rambam says that Benoyach is mitzuvah and Avodah Zorah, anything that Israel is mitzuvah on. When the Rambam describes says the Rambam Benoyach she'over Avodah Zorah arei ze chayev v'hu she'yaved kedarakot. That's the Rambam in Hilchos Melachim in Perek Tes. V'chol Avodah Zorah shebein shel Yisrael memisim aleo Benoyach ne'ereg aleo. So the Rambam specifies very clearly and precisely that any Avodah Zorah which is Avodah Zorah ba'id is Avodah Zorah b'Benoyach. And he says Avada Taisus doesn't mean real Avodah Zorah b'Shituf. Taisus in B'chairis is also made it to the Rambam that Kol Avodah Zorah Yisrael. Taisus just means when he promises, when he makes a promise, not a real shvur, it's not an emes Avodah Zorah. Or B'Avada zogt in the B'Yudech, some Sefer zogt Eichnes El B'Zach. So Dova Poshet that everybody agrees that B'Noyach is mitzvah and the same Avodah Zorah in the mitzvah. In the Zion mitzvah B'Noyach shaloi la'aved Avodah Zorah, as the Rambam sets forth. Kol Avodah Zorah shebein shel Yisrael memisim aleo B'Noyach nehereg aleo, and therefore the teretz is not a teretz. I told him, I showed him the Rambam, I showed him the Yehuda, I told him the Yehuda says, Tesis Meitos Gornish. There's no such a Tesis either. The Or is a good Or. Would like to say and to suggest a Seken Zayin Emes to the Tzuechet. In Parshas Vayeschanon, look at the Pesukim that you have. State, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Bnei Yisrael as follows: Hashomo am kol elikim medaber mitoicho eish kasher shomata ato vayechi, o anisa elikim levoi lekachas legoy mikerev goy b'masos b'oisos b'moivsim b'milchom b'yad chazok b'zorei netuye b'meroim gedoyim kechol asher oso Hashem Elokeichem b'mitzrayim leinecho. Ato reiso ladas ki Hashem hu elikim en oid mil ein oid milvadoi. מן השמיים ישמיח או כל חול יסרחו ועל האורץ איכו איש הקדולו ודבורב שמעתם מתוכו איש ותחס כי אוהב השם מסבי סכו ויסחו בזר יעקב ויציאחו בפונו בכריחו הגדול במצרים לא יריש גדולים ועצומים ממךו להביאחו לסיסלו בסעצו נחלו קרים הזה ויודעתו היום the punchline this posture ויודעתו היום והשבי סלו בבכו כי השם הוא אלוקים בשמיים ממעל ועל האורץ בתוך הסעינוי. comes Rashi. מויר דיקה רש"י. Ato reiso ladash, state in Rashi. Look at Loshen Rashi. Kshenosa na kodesh Baruch Hu es ha-Torah, posach lohem zayin rikim, ukeshem shekora es ha-elyonim, kora es ha-tachtoinim, v'ro shehu yechidi. Lekach nemor ato reiso ladash. The Goyen has a big arichas about this Rashi. But let's learn Rashi balabatish without getting to the amkas of Rashi. Rashi says, Atoi Reisel Adas, in Matan Torah, the realization of Yichud Hashem. Maybe there's another, Efshas Yidon Noch Getchkes, Efshas Yidon Noch Alekus. Zogt Rashi, Shenosan Satoira Kadosh Baruch Hu opened the Zayin Rikim Ol Yoinim, und Tachteim, as I state in Chazal, there was also Rikim at Tachteim, he ripped it open, and they had a clear vision. V'rou Shehu Yechidi. They saw that in Shamayim, there's only a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Lekach neemar Atoi Reisel Adas. Atoi Reisel Adas nicht nur a posuk befakef $1. Atoi Reisel Adas is you have known, you were being advised, you were instructed to know, to have a real knowledge. Ki Hashem hu Elokim b'shamayim mal v'al ha'aretz mitochas. In other words, Klal Yisrael goes through Yetzias Mitzrayim. They go through Kriyas Yamsuf. They go through Milchemes Sichem v'Oig. They go through an entire era of Nisim. And Nisim sheroa so shifcha alayom asher liroi Yecheskel bebuzim b'varos hanevuah. The greatest, the height of Nevuah. Yet, the only realization that Kodesh Baruch Hu Yechidi zogt Rashi, that would only open, Kodesh Baruch Hu zipped open the Shiva Rikim Al Yonim Tachtoinim. That's they saw in Matan Torah. That's the portion, the Pshat in Atarei Solodas. When Rachav counts the Nisim, look at Rachav. Rachav counts the Nisim, she says, Ki Shomanu, look at the Pesukim that we're learning now. Ki Hoy V'Shem Esmei Yamsuf, that's number one. She hears about the Nes of Kriyas Yamsuf. V'es Asher Asisim B'Shnei Malchei Emuri, L'Sichem V'Lo Yomchate Oisom. She starts off in Kriyas Yamsuf, she carries on, she skips over to Milchemes Sichem V'Oig, which is a greatness, but for some reason or another, so Rachav does not include in the miracles which macht the Yoshvei Eretz Yisrael Gitziter Matan Torah. So she talks about the very same, the psukim, that the punchline of the psukim at Torah Yisrael Das Kashem Elokim Elokim V'Alo V'Yodato Hayoyim V'Asheva Yisrael V'Echo Kashem Elokim V'Shamayim Mal V'Al Oretz Mitoch HaSeinor deal with three different nisim: the nes of Yitzias Mitzrayim Kriyas Yamsuf, the nes of Matan Torah, and the nes of Milchemes Sichem V'Oig. She, for some reason or another, the Sekum Torah, she does not say that the Melachim that's sitting in Eretz Canaan heard anything about the Nes of Matan Torah. So Mela scenes Ein Oid Milvado. Rashi says this realization happened during the Nes. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the Nes and opened the Zayin Rikim, and she doesn't mention it. Pashat Pshat, without getting sophisticated. In Mela, she says, Hashem hu Elokim b'shamayim mal v'al ha'aretz mitochas. But this ain't oid, which Rashi defines clearly and precisely, which means to see that Hashem hu Yechidi, Yichud Hashem, that was something, a miracle which happened merely in Matan Torah, that for some reason or another, Rachav does not mention it amongst the Nisim that scared off the Yoshvei Haaretz. But I would like to go a little bit further. The Rambam, look at the Rambam. The Rambam in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, phenomenal Rambam. Mention Lane and the Rambam, Milain to Milain to Milain, and they don't realize what state as that treasure in the Rambam. Harei mefurish b'Torah u'b'Neviim she'ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu guf v'gviyah. Kadosh Baruch Hu is not a body nor a corpus. He is not. Shenema ki Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim b'shamayim mima'al ve'al ha'oretz mitochas ve'haguf lo yeh b'shnei mekoyos. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu had some kind of guf, or dmus haguf, or tzuras haguf, mechanisch in Yiddish they say, mechanisch tanzen auf zwei chasanas. You cannot be at the very same location. The whole concept of Eidim Zayimim, Yimonu Yisem Ba'isa Show is because Aguf lo Yimotze Mishtei Mekoyos. Mishtei the Guf. So if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is B'Shamayim Yimal, V'Aloretz Mitochas, he is apparently in two separate Mekoyos, V'Aguf lo Yim Mishtei Mekoyos, Behechech, that this of the Rambam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have a Guf in the Geviyah, and the Rambam brings it in the Shulchan Aruch of Yichud Hashem. Interestingly enough, when the Rambam brings the Pasuk Shene'emar, Ki Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim b'shamayim. Where is the word Elokeichem mentioned? Ba'uz in Rachav. If you look at the pasuk in Parshas in Sefer Dvorim, he says Ki Hashem hu Elokim b'shamayim yimal. Elokeichem is Rachav telling the Pinchas and Kol Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim. Kum tzugein the Meforish. By the way, secret. That's the Ritva. The Shaila who was the consensus amongst most Kadmoinim that the Meforish and the Rambam and Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah was the Ritva, or another Rishon. Comes again. Tzorichin. Lama iniach Rabbeinu pasuk mefurish b'Torah, and he goes bringt a raya von Rachav. Ki Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim b'shamayim mimal v'al ha'oretz mitochas v'haguf lo yeh b'shnei mekoyos. It's a pella. It's a pella. You can't say the Rambam. Some people I saw in Gears in the Rambam Venezia. Somebody wants to change the gears. Hashem Elokim took out the word Elokeichem. The Rambam really doesn't bring down that gears. The Rambam brings the pasuk of Moshe Rabbeinu. Aber wenn es steht bei uns in Rambam in der Ritva fragt doch gleich auf Not. If you look on the side, yes, why did the Rambam bring a raya from Rachav from the pasuk? He said pasuk ben Anavim, and not only Anavim, bring it from a Benoyach, from a Shikze. It was Megayer. She is Megayer. She will be Megayer. But bring a pasuk from Moshe Rabbeinu. I would like to suggest as follows: Useken zayin emes. There is a very, very outstanding, phenomenal medrash in Parshas Yisrei. And look at the medrash. Look at the medrash inside. The medrash says like this: Yisrei nosan mamesh be'avodas koichovim. Shene'ema ato yodati ki godel Hashem mikol ha'elohim. Yisrei gave some credibility to other avodah zarah. He says Hashem. Yodati ki Hashem, there is 15 getchkes. Yours is the biggest. Naaman, we spoke about him, he's the Sar Tzva. He's the Sar Tzva of Sisera, of the camp of Sisera. He was Megayer. He became a Gertoishav, steht in Gemara in Sanhedrin, Gemara in Gittin. Hoido b'miktzos mimeno. Ineno yodati ki ein Elokim b'kol ha'oretz ki im b'Yisrael. Says the Zaisranon, there's different madregas. There is different recognitions in the existence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. Yisroi believes HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there is Sidar Zazach says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or there's other getchkes. But he is the biggest one. Everybody's rated 8, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is rated 10. That's Yisroi. Naaman is makir, is maskim, there is a mitzias of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he negates the existence, a coexistence of another God, but only in Eretz Yisrael. Look at Naaman. Ki yodati ki ein Elokim b'kol ha'oretz ki b'Yisrael. In Chutz La'aretz ken zayin is andere getchke, but in Eretz Yisrael, the one and only is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rachav, here we are. Samtahu b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Shene'emar ki Hashem Elokeichem hu Elokim b'shamayim ya'al v'al ha'aretz mitochas. She already agrees that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, she's in the bigger madrege than Naaman. She says HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'shamayim yimal and al ha'aretz mitochas. But if not of the punchline, I would have stumbled. Moshe somoy af bechaloloi sheloilom. Shene'emar ki Hashem hu Elokim b'shamayim yimal v'al ha'aretz mitochas ein oid. My ein oid? Afilu bechalolo sheloilom. In other words, like this. We have under space, under the earth. We have above space. And then we have Chalala Shalelim, the microcosmos of the universe, of the Welt. So Rachav is makir in the Kodesh Baruch Hu's koyach upstairs and downstairs. But B'Chalala Shalelim, she is not makir. And Moshe is makir af B'Chalala Shalelim. She's Meshayer Chalaloi Shalelim. I'm not getting involved right now. What's the main? She's makir Mashamayim Mal. But you see that it says that Moshe is the highest madreger, because if that's the case, I understand very well the Rambam. The Rambam wants to bring us a raya that ein lo guf v'lo dmus haguf. Ein lo guf, ein lo gvia. Why? Weil wir können nicht tanzen auf zwei Chasanes. V'haguf lo yimotze b'shnei mekoyos. And Moshe Rabbeinu got a problem. Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is underneath, and in Chalala Shalom, and on top, it's all one makom. Melech kol haaretz kavodai. Kadosh Baruch Hu is not, there's no separate place where the Kadosh Baruch Hu is not in. He's underneath, he's inside the Welt, and he's upside, on top of the Welt. So to bring a raya that Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have a goof, v'lo igviyah, from the fact that it says, B'shamayim imal v'aguf lo yimotze b'shnei mekoyos, is only one that makes the Kadosh Baruch Hu koyach to be in one location, and then in another location underneath. So by Rachel, where he says, B'shamayim imal v'ala oretz mitochas, she doesn't say ein oid. So she came to the realization that Kadosh Baruch Hu is a God, and he has to be God, because if he's only up and down, he's in two places. And if he's two places, he must not have a goof or a gviyah, because a goof we can't stand stuff tzvei chasadas. Moshe Rabbeinu, where he is, af b'chalala shaloilom, so the Kadosh Baruch Hu is not in two places. Kadosh Baruch Hu is one place. Kadosh Baruch Hu is melech kol haaretz kavodai. B'shamayim imal v'al haaretz mitochas ein oid afilu b'chalala shaloilom. So you can bring a raya. Efshar is takot yaguf. The Rambam wants to bring a raya that there's no goof from the fact that Yimotze b'shnei mekoyos. Behechach, the Rambam had to go ahead and bring the raya from Rachav, who had the recognition in the Elokus from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but only underneath the cosmos, the universe, and on top. So this is what I'd like to suggest. Back upon him, this ein oid steht in Medrash, that the ein oid, the real teretz on the kashe of Rabbi Katzestin Zecher Tzadik Livrocha, is because she did not say ein oid without the Rashi. We said the one pshat in the Rashi, but the real teretz is because she was not makir in ein oid. She was makir only in B'shamayim imal v'al haaretz mitochas. But she understood these other koiches in the world we're living. Moshe Rabbeinu is shisoi af b'chalala shaloilom, and therefore the pasuk of Moshe is ein oid. It's all one elikus. Lemala lemata b'chalala shaloilom, whereas by Rachav it's only upstairs and downstairs. Let's go weiter. V'ato yishovu li b'Hashem ki asisi mochem chesed v'asisem gam atem mibeis avi chesed nosatem li ois emes. There's a Goyen here. Since the Goyen appears, I'm saying to you because I don't want to spend the whole shiur. This Goyen appears in 14 places in Kisvei Agra. But the Mekor of the Goyen, there's different application to the same word, is the Goyen by us. The Emes the Radak says Kimad the same word. Whoever has the text with the Goyen, I think Moshe, it's Gidruk with the Goyen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Or if not, you can see it in the page of Ma'am Mikoimus. Look at what she says. Yishovu li b'Hashem ki asisi imochem chesed v'asisem gam atem mibeis avi chesed unesatem li ois emes. She starts off, she says, Yishovu li b'Hashem ki asisi imochem chesed. I made with you chesed. V'asisem atem im beis avi chesed. I gave you chesed, and as a reciprocation, you should make with my father's home, beis avi chesed. Unesatem li, however, to me, ois emes, you're giving it ois emes. What's tutzach though? Is it emes or is it chesed? Beis avi is chesed, and to me it's emes. What's tutzach though? Zog the Goyen. And this is a very famous Goyen. It's a Goyen in Mishlei, it's a Goyen in Iyov, it's a Goyen on Tanakh, it's a Goyen in Divrei Yomim, it's a Goyen on Deres Yoel. I'll tell you in 3 places. The Goyen repeats the word over and over, but here is the source of this word. Zog the Goyen azay. פירוש, כי מה שעוד המועיס לחברו טויבה מחודש הוא נקרא חסד. ומה שעוד המשלם טויבה לחבר על שעושה אימו מקבר טויבה נקרא אמס. קום יחוב לעשות את זה. If I come to you, I don't know you from nowhere, and I bestow a courtesy upon you, I do a chesed to you, this is called a chesed. Why? Because I don't know you from anywhere, you don't know me from anywhere, I don't owe you anything, you don't owe me anything. I decided, mituv libi, or for whatever reason, I'm going to give you this gift, I'm going to give you this courtesy, this chesed. This is called a chesed. Chesed is not a reciprocation. Chesed is initiation in omfang, gleich, something that you were never mechuyev. However, you did me a favor yesterday. I got stuck on the highway, you came, you bailed me out, you changed my tire. I go the next day, I see you stuck in your highway, and I stop by my car, and I go ahead and change your tire. So the goyen, mashu meshalem, in a second it becomes what we call in Spanish, a tzolachts. In a second it becomes a tashlum, that's not chesed anymore. I'm not doing chesed with you. You did with me chesed because you started off without me being mechuyev to you anything. But I, on the other hand, is doing what I'm doing with you is emes. Because since in the moment you created a courtesy to be bestowed upon me, I am mechuyev as a token of appreciation, reciprocation, to repay you back for the chesed you have done for me for no reason. That's called emes. Look at the Goyen. V'zeh she'omu chazal. O oichel, the Goyen brings a medrash. Al yachil oisar adoshim. If somebody comes to eat by you and he gives him adoshim, he gives him lentils. Ki zeh she'echi lo yisar tchila osa imo chesed. אבל השני, אם יחל לא יעשה גם כן אדושים, אלא יעשה לו כלום בעד החסר שעושה עמוי, אלא רק ששילה מה שהוא חייב לו. If you come the next day to me, I gave you lentil soup, you give me back a lentil soup, so the Goyen, I didn't do any chesed. He did with you chesed, because you were hungry, you came, he gave you a soup, a lentil soup. If you're going to pay him back tomorrow when he comes to your lentil soup, you haven't done chesed, because whatever he gave you, you're giving him back. אלא שהוא צורך לאכול says the Goyen, whatever I give you overage, you gave me a vegetarian soup, and I give you a fleishik soup, a yapchik. I give you a yapchik, which is 2 times the price. I'm giving you a ongestupte gans. That's already chesed, because the overage of whatever I'm not mechuyev to give you as a token of reciprocation, that is already a chesed. So the Goyen, v'zeu shene'emar, titen emes leyankiv chesed la'avrom. The posuk that we say, titen emes leyankiv, we say by Tashlich. It's a posuk in Micho. Titen emes leyankiv chesed la'avrom. Why? Ki ma shivtiach la'avrom oyo chesed, ki toiva chadosha. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised Avram Avinu is chesed, it's a new toiva. Avam etzel Yankiv yemes, sheshilem loy ma shivtiach kvar la'avrom. In the second, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised Avram, so what he's paying right now is giving it. He's bestowing it upon Yankiv. It's not called chesed. Why? Because it's not a chesed anymore. That's emes, because you're paying whatever you promised Avram Avinu. V'chein v'zeu shene'emar kan, says the Goyen. Ki asisi, ani asisi mochem chesed, shechyeisi eschem. Aval atem ta'asu imi gam ken chesed. Umau ha-chesed, shetechayu es beis avi. I made a chesed, I saved your life. The Melech Yericho came, you want to kill you. Because you came, you're spies. So whatever I did to you is chesed. So you want to repay me to do a chesed to me? Where's the ptumes? Where's the yapchik? So the Goyen, the yapchik is, v'asisim beis avi. My father has nothing to do with you. That's ptumes. Aval ma shetechayu oisi, eino rak emes. Says the Goyen, whatever you mechaya me, that's not called chesed, it's called emes. Look how beautiful the pasuk goes. I made with you chesed because I initiated the chesed. I owe you nothing. I'm knowing you from nowhere. Therefore, you have to repay me back. But paying me back is not chesed. Base Avi, my father, that's already somebody who's not part of our relationship. That's chesed. But since I'm asking not only for my parents, so I'm asking you to save me, that's already emes, because since you are obligated for me, therefore you are obligated already. As a stating, and this goes, anybody that wants to borrow this pearls of wisdom from the Goyen and make an application, and people are doing it, the Goyen himself does it many times, whatever you go to chesed ve'emes, and throughout Tanakh, and you find dozens of times chesed and emes, you'll see how right the application is, that chesed is something which you started off, and emes is something which is repayment. It's not called chesed. And to do a chesed again, you have to be overboard, to go above the repayment, to go above the reciprocation. Let's go weiter. The question is really, right, this pasuk, Ve'ato yishovu li ba'Hashem ki osisim modi chesed, ve'osisim gam atem mibeis avi chesed, and what's the next pasuk? Ve'achayisem es ovi ve'es imi ve'es achai ve'es achyoisai, different gears, achoisi, achyoisai, kri uksiv, ve'chol asher lohem ve'itzaltem, and nafsheseis nafsheseinu mimodas. L'maise, the only piece of knowledge that the Meraglim needed to hear from Rachav to fulfill their shlichus is Vanishma va'imas le'oveinu v'likor koma ruach be'ish ki Hashem elokim b'shamayim mimal. She knew Rachav was a Zaina. Shtei the Gemara ein l'chol sar v'nogid. Everybody, she knew everybody. She knew all the 31 Malachim in Eretz Yisrael. She knew the mood. She knew Vastutzach. She knew the atmosphere. And she said to them, listen, you just come in, it's going to fall in like a ripe strawberry in your hands because there's nobody fighting. They all lost the stamina, they lost the mood, they don't have the koyach, and vayimas levoveinu. The word ve'ato, what does she say ve'ato yishovu? The Kohen says, every time he says the word ve'ato, he means that there is some kind of relationship between the previous psukim, and ve'ato is not a starter. Ve'ato is a pursuant, is subsequent to. As a result, consequently, this is ve'ato. What is the consequently? Ke'ilu, there is some kind of a connection between the information submitted to Rachav, by Rachav to the Meraglim, and between the fact that you have to be matzel the nefashos. Pashat Pshat, why she's asking a chesed? She's asking him to swear. She's going to ask him to give me a shvur. She's going to ask him for shvur. Why is she asking him for a shvur? What did she do to them? She's due to them because she saved their lives. He says, listen, it's tit for tat. You were saved by me because Melech Yericho came, he sent shluchim, he could have killed you in 2 seconds. I saved you. I made a whole spitzel, spiel. And therefore, when you come, you're going to come in with your army, you're going to kill the whole people in Yericho. I'm asking you, please, don't kill me and my parents' home. That's what she's asking. So really, she's asking him, whatever I did to you, you do to me. Vosra Shayches, Ke'ilu, the Pasuk says that there is this information that Nomeis Leiv Ha'om, the mood, that's not part of the Bakosha. This is what was happening, even if they wouldn't have come. She didn't do any favor to them. The favor that she did to them, that she's asking to bestow this reciprocation for, is the fact that she saved them from Misa from Melech Yericho. That's really what it is. So why is she mixing in ve'ato, this, ve'lekomo idruach be'ish, ke'ilu it has a shayches? I would like to learn with you a shtickle sugyas haGemara in Maseches Nedorim. The Gemara in Nedorim of Samachet, the Gemara says as follows. What does that mean? These machlekes, 3 shittas in Rishonim, but let me give you the regular pashut pshat. In other words, if I make a shvur or a neder in relationship to somebody else, I say, I'll do this to you, I swore to you, I swore about you, I made some kind of a shvur to you. Came to me once, I said, you know what, promise me you'll do this and that. I promise you and I swear to you that did X, Y, Z to you. We know that every shvur, you can have a charota, you can have a shaila. I say you can have a shaila of nedorim and shvuas. It's retrievable, it's revocable. But the halacha is, if the shvur is shaloi oichal, shaloi ishan, I go to a chacham and he's matir me the neder, he's make a pesach and he's matir me the neder. But if the shvur is in relation to a third party, you cannot be matir the neder only bifnei the party that it's relating to. You can't go ahead and matir shaloi bifnei hamushba, shaloi bifnei somebody that this neder or shvur is in relation for, right? So the Gemara minane mile, Omar Rav Nachman diksiv Vayomer Hashem Moshe b'mi leich shuv Mitzrayim kimeisu kol ha'anoshim. Omar le b'minyan odarto leich ve'hater nidrucha b'Miriam. B'Midian. What happened was, when Moshe meets Tzipora and he makes the shidduch, he tells them, listen, you have a problem, you're coming, Mitzrayim, you have a whole history, you want to go back to your people. I want to tell you something. I need you to swear to me that you're not leaving Midian. Because they're looking for you, they're going to kill you there. My daughter's going to remain Almana. A ganze medrash, how the whole thing took place. But the Maise, Yisro makes Moshe say a shvur that he's not going back to Mitzrayim and he's staying in Midian. Now, Kadosh Baruch Hu tells them, Meisu kol ha'anoshim ha'mevakshim es nafshecho. He tells them, Shuv el choisnecho, go back to him and go ahead and tell him that Kadosh Baruch Hu is mitzavi to go back to Mitzrayim. You matter the neder. So the Gemara learns out from Moshe Rabbeinu that if you are nishba b'yachas to third party, that you're not able to be matir the neder only befonim. Shenemar, why? I mean, what is the Meisu Anoshim? Just by the way, who is the Anoshim? The Anoshim is Dosim v'Aviram. Dosim v'Aviram, they didn't die. If you look, if anybody has a little bit of what's his name, they're there in Kriyas Yamsuf. They're there later on when the man Vayorim Taloim Vayivash is Dosim v'Aviram. They're there in the Machlekes Okeach v'Adosoi. They're there. They're not vanishing. What's Meisu Kol Anoshim? Shtetik Mor in the Donut of Samachdal on the base. Because they became anim, they lost their wealth, and oni is choshev kemeis. Mele have no more power; they can't do any damage to you. That's what Kadosh Baruch Hu tells him. So he's instructed to go back to Yisrael, to Midian, and to be matir the shvuah befonov from the mudar. That's what the Gemara says. How do you know? Because it says Vayoel Moshe ve'ein ola el shvuah. Why ein ola shvuah? The Gemara says that Moya de Kazach. That's a very interesting, fascinating story. You don't have the time. But the Gemara says a story that Nebuchadnezzar, Tzidkiyahu HaMelech saw Nebuchadnezzar eating a rabbit, lebedik a rabbit. He took it, he ripped it apart. He wanted to show he's a Gibor. He took Arnevis. That was the name of the wife of Nebuchadnezzar, Arnevis also. He ripped the Arnevis apart and he ate it. And Tzidkiyahu saw it. So he said, you're going to go around telling the Olam, Mevazim Barabim. Please swear to me that you're not going to do it. So Tzidkiyahu was Nishbaloi, that he's not going to tell the story that he saw him eating Arnevis, because the king is going to get a very bad PR for his achzorius of eating Arnevis Chaya. Anyhow, to make a long story short, he wanted to spill the beans because he wanted to belittle. So he went to the Sanhedrin and he said, I made a shvuah to Tzidkiyahu, to Nebuchadnezzar, and they were matim the shvuah. It says that Nebuchadnezzar called in the Sanhedrin, and he told him, what's wrong, I see this? He says, don't worry about it. He didn't do anything wrong because he was matir the shvuah by us. He says, you matir the shvuah by you? Are you allowed to be matir his nishba to me? Could I be out of the story? He says, no. Yad, they sat down, they ripped the clothes, and the Pesukim in Eicho says that they sat down on the floor, Skenim, Ba'oretz, Yoshvu, goes on this Sanhedrin, that they said in front of Nebuchadnezzar Moide, they did wrongdoing, because before being matir the shvuah, they should have called Nebuchadnezzar to come in there to make that Torah shvuah before. In any event, okay, the Shulchan Aruch Paskins, in Shulchan Aruch in Yerideh, Noda al das chaver matir elo im ken oidio lo ishe shenoda, v'yesh oimrim, da afilo oidioi, ein matirin elo midaito v'retzoinoi. Even if I notified you, I need your consent. V'davka loy kemoi Moshe shenoda al das Yisroi bishvil shehisi lo yasbitoi v'ashvuah oisel l'toelas Yisroi. If I do it for you, because you have a benefit, Yisroi wanted his daughter not to remain agune. But if Stam I say, I'm going to give Mishaberich to you $100, and if Charoti, you don't know about it, I can do it even Shalei B'fono. Even when it's not a favor, you also have to be matir. The Rivosh in the Tshuva is Moisif, and I think I'm bringing down the Rivosh. Kol mokim sha'anish bo kibel toiva min ha'mashbiya, af al pi sha'mashbiya kibel yoyse toiva, afilu ochem mikri ha'tova. Sha'arei Yisroi kibel yoyse toiva mimoyshe shenosai bitoi, afilu ochem mikri ha'tova. In other words, there was a time to say that if the toiva, that for that toiva nishbo was not as big as the toiva that he owes me, when you make a shidduch Moshe mitiso, zog the Rivosh, sasach agreser toiva, for Moshe he's doing to Yisro by becoming his son-in-law, than by Yisro letting him his daughter marry him. Yet, Zog the Rivosh, Kol mokim, even the mashbia was mekabel a greater toiva, yet you have to go ahead with mati befana, because by Yisroi got a bigger favor than. If that's the case, we understand very well what is she saying, ve'ato ishovuli, because there was a thought that the toiva that she did, really she didn't do any toiva. The information that she gave them, she didn't do any toiva to them, because that was the facts of life of nomas libam from Bnei Yisrael. The only real toiva comes out that really the whole shlichus and the meraglim was unneeded, because in essence she was